It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles, and it's Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi TV Insider Edition. This week, starring special guest star Miss Suzan Koc. And guess what? Yours truly just realized I left my notes on the printer, so I'm going to wing it. No notes whatsoever. Anyway, hi guys. Welcome to the big show. I'm cutting my head off. There we go. Okay, we're both in there. Opening up the chat room so we can see you guys. Ooh, can't read you very well. All right, how's everybody doing? Plus ones if you're all there and you can hear us just fine and everything. All right, cool. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to grab my notes. Susan, sing or dance or something. I'll be back in like 5 seconds. You know what? I want to let you guys
We
know.
need some more plus ones. I don't know what to say. Oh, there you go. We've got a plus 11,111.
Yes, being
Hi.
the total professional I am, I printed out my notes and forgot to bring them in. Okay, so I'm really excited to have Susan on the show. I met her like 5, 6, 7 years ago at the Kauai Music Festival, and I had her on a panel and thought she was really smart, and she has been the VP of Creative at BMG Rights Management, VP of Writer Development at BMG Music Publishing, VP of Writer Development at BMG Los Angeles, Music Publishing in Los Angeles, VP of Creative at Hit and Run Music. Before that, she was Director of Creative Services in the International Division of Warner Chappell. So this lady has been around the block. Let's just say she knows songs. She really does. She's quite amazing. And she came on board as part of our A&R team a few weeks ago. And we've been just delighted to have her here. And I gotta say, Kevin and I stay after work some nights, and we've both been so tickled pink by how excited you get over some of the music that you've heard.
There are some really, really good artists, and it's. I'm still active by managing songwriters. Right. And I really look at Taxi as my private little well of talent and people I can use and I can introduce to other people. And
Shelley Piken is one of your writers.
Is one of them, and we've already started working with. We've been emailing back and forth with a Taxi member.
Great. Oh, the one we talked about the other night. So you reached out to her. And
yes,
she's
and
into
we're
it?
yes. She was like, I'm willing to. I sent her songs today, and. Wow. It's going ahead. Meanwhile, Shelley had meetings with A&Rs who were like, are there any talents, anybody that you can introduce us to? And Shelley called me saying, I want to put forward that girl. I was like, sure. So it's really a great source of music for me.
Well, I'm tickled pink. We're just all really excited to have you around. You've got good energy and tons of experience, and I hope our members know, all of our screeners have incredible resumes, but to have somebody, who's so passionate about songs and songwriting and artists, and that you share your passion whenever you find something. It's like, I found somebody great today. It's exciting for us. We need, just like you guys all need affirmation that what you're doing is good. We love to hear it from industry pros like you that, wow, what you guys are doing at Taxi is good because I'm finding good people. So thanks.
It's also good. I have to say the other nice thing with Taxi with the song submissions are fantastic because it's an opportunity for people to get onto either records or film and TV and all that.
Yep.
But it's also good for them to get feedback that is sometimes independent from the pitch. Sometimes the pitch is wrong.
Right.
They ask for a love song, you sent a something else song.
Yeah.
But they also get the critique of the song itself.
Right.
And sometimes it's a really good song that could be a great song with a few tweaks. And all the screeners take the time to actually try to fine-tune things. Yeah. And I've actually, in my very short time here, experienced somebody who took the comments I had made, and it came back. I was like, I've heard this song before. I was like, but the lyrics weren't the same. And I went back and A-B'd, and he really took the comments and turned a song that had a good idea, a great melody that wasn't very polished, to actually a great song that I did forward.
Wow.
So it was very gratifying for me too to see that there was real interaction, and that there are people that use it not just to pitch but to become better writers. Because that's the double function of Taxi. It's pretty amazing.
Half education and half opportunity. And, I get personally bummed out when people say, oh, don't join Taxi until you've got a catalog full of great stuff. No, let people like Suzan help you decide what's your best stuff and how to fine-tune it to make it amazing. When people go to disc makers and press up 1,000 CDs, then they join Taxi and then they submit the stuff from the CD. And you could get feedback saying, oh, this would be so much better if you did X, Y, or Z. And they go, well, I can't. I already pressed 1,000 CDs. So the time to become a member is when you want to know if what you've got is good, what your best songs are, and how to take them from good to great. Just anecdotally, one night at the end of the day, Suzan came down to my office and I was playing her stuff from my daughter. Yes, I love to brag about my daughter. Hannah, and I played her some of Hannah's stuff, and she heard Hannah's song Suicide, and Suzan said, wow, this is amazingly good. How old is she? By the way, can I make one suggestion? I forget what it was now, but whatever it was like instantly brilliant. It was one of those little 5%ers that can take a song from being an A to an A+.
I think it was to switch the used to I in the bridge.
You're right. That's right.
That was...
it created more empathy or something.
Yes.
Yeah. And see, that's the stuff that our members go, well, why? Why would I want to do that? Because it, changing it from the people that the song is talking to looked at this person and felt this. When I felt this, then you're coming along on the ride with me, seeing her through my eyes. And just that one little suggestion was amazing. That's what you do.
That's what I do.
That was the kind of stuff that Suzan gave up on the panel in Kauai, where I remember moderating and thinking, man, I got to get to know this lady, because you would say something and I so badly wanted to put down the microphone and just come up on stage and hang out with you and go, you get it. Anyway, so if you could wave your magic Suzan Koc wand over all independent songwriters, Taxi members included, is there kind of like one thing that you wish you could say, guys, I wish you would all just be cognizant of this? And I know that's a really wide open-ended question. But common mistakes, I guess.
Common mistakes. Wow. Because there's nothing common about...
Right, well...
common mistakes. Actually, common... yes. Actually. Common mistakes is the laundry list of what others do to you in a song. Okay. You did this, you did that, you did this, you did that, you did this, you did that. You're a bad person. Without putting yourself in the center. You did this, and it made me feel that way.
Right.
And sometimes everybody just they have what I call a laundry list of what's wrong.
Yeah, venting almost.
Of venting,
yeah.
But they don't... the job of a songwriter is to make the listener feel what they feel.
Right, feel what the writer feels, yeah.
If they just put an angry list, I have a list, but it makes me feel differently. Yeah. You need to make me feel what you feel. So at everything that you mention that you don't like, you also need to attach your own personal emotion. So it anchors the song and it makes it yours. Mm-hmm. Because it can be, you eat with your mouth open. It can make people angry. It can make people laugh. It can make people indifferent. Right. You can't just say that.
Oh, nobody's indifferent to people who eat with their mouths open.
some other person who's like, oh my God, I'm not the only one eating with my mouth open. You don't know. So when you describe something that you don't like in somebody, you need to articulate what it is that you don't like.
And how it makes you feel.
And how it makes you feel. I think that's one of the main common mistakes when people start writing and they're just like,
Right.
they're just angry and they vent anger, and you're like, you can't have anger without vulnerability that's in there.
It's funny. I think Robin Frederick was probably the first person under this roof to put her finger on the difference between great songwriting and great songwriting for film and TV. And the very first thing that she pointed out was great songwriting for TV and film usually centers on an emotion. It doesn't go through a laundry list of emotions. It doesn't go through a laundry list of events or happenings, because that may conflict with the script. So she recommended, tell me how it made you feel, which is what you're talking about. And do you see that same thing, because now you're much more involved in the film and TV world? That emotion, you could really spend like a whole song talking about this emotion, that one central thematic emotion.
Absolutely, and I also find that very good pop songs make very poor film and TV songs.
Yes.
And I've worked with Shelley Peiken for 15 years. The only syncs we got were at the time where there were huge soundtrack albums and they needed a single off that soundtrack album, and our song was always Radio Source. She puts too much stuff. There's too many colors and smells and details, which makes a rich pop song.
Right.
But for film and TV, it just conflicts with images.
Right. There's a story already there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Tell them about Shelley, just so you guys know. I don't know how many, all of us in the industry know Shelley, but Shelley, I guess, how many, big hits has she had?
She had a few. She had, I would say the one that everybody... the big one is What a Girl Wants.
Right.
Then there was Bitch, Meredith Brooks, Almost Doesn't Count, Brandy. A couple of years ago, she had a single in the UK, Who You Are, with Jessie J.
Right.
She's still very active. She had cuts with Britney Spears and Selena Gomez and Miley Cyrus. I mean, she's...
Still very active.
Still very active.
And she's fearless. I gotta say, I've seen her on at least 3 occasions get up and play with her guitar. She's not a performer, but she'll get up and perform, and she executes it so beautifully that I often wonder why she never went that route, because she
started that route. 90% of the people start that route. I don't think that at 16 you go, oh my God, I'm going to write songs for others.
Yeah.
You write songs and you want to perform them, and little by little, basically her first cut was Taylor Dane, and she had her address and just put a cassette on her doorstep, and she loved it and cut it. That was her first. And then she started getting requests. Do you have songs?
Right.
And she was like, oh, great. I don't have to play at 2 a.m. in a stinky club. So she started, and that's how it happened. But she was initially trying to, believe it or not, to be an artist, looking for a lyricist.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't like any lyric that anybody was doing, so she was like, okay, I'm going to do my own lyrics.
Wow. And she's a great lyricist.
She's a great lyricist.
What do you listen to recreationally?
Oh, I listen to a lot of indie DJs.
Really?
Yes, I listen to a lot of
Wow.
DJs. I'm a little weird like that. I don't like old music. Not that I don't like it, but I really look at music and pop music as an art form.
Okay.
And I love how evolved. I mean, I feel like we're in the land of modern art.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to listen to impressionists.
Right. Don't
So,
get
and I
stuck.
really, and also, the older you get, the faster things seem to change.
Mm-hmm.
So I always want to be a step ahead, because pop music is basically everything that's independent around you that you synthesize to now.
So that brings up an interesting point. One of the screeners came down here about a week ago. Very smart, very nice, very well-credentialed guy. And he said to me, I feel bad telling taxi members that their lyrics aren't strong enough. The whole industry is always saying, you got to have great lyrics, got to have great lyrics. And I turn on my radio and I listen to the stuff that's on the, top 40 right now. And at least half of it has really crappy lyrics. So how can we say your lyrics have to be amazing when they can turn on their radio and hear a bunch of crap lyrics? How does that happen?
First of all, I don't think that the songs on the radio have crap lyrics.
Interesting. Okay.
They're written differently. A good lyric is not a deep lyric.
What is it?
It is something that is said with such ease and is convincing.
Ooh, I love that.
And that you believe. And it sings well, and it's simple, and it sounds exactly like something that somebody would tell you. We're not. You've got basically in the song 90 words to make a point.
Mm-hmm.
We're not writing philosophy. You don't want to be unbelievably deep. That's not it. It's really about, I'm trying to think of a good example. Well, Katy Perry's lyrics are
definitely not deep.
Are not deep, but they're
unforgettable.
They're unforgettable. They're honest.
Mm-hmm.
They're clever, and they touch. It's really about touching.
And it's got to touch somebody. It's got to touch a lot of somebody's, but it may not touch all of somebody's.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm in my late 50s. Actually, I like Katy Perry. Did I ever tell you she was a screener here?
Yes, you. Oh, I didn't know she was a screener.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Katy Perry was Katie Hudson, and she came on board. She grew up with a really strong background in Christian and gospel music, so she came on board as a Christian and gospel screener. And then one day, sheepishly kind of, said, I can do pop. And we had no idea that she'd had a record deal and lost it. And basically, we kept food on her table until she got the next record deal, which launched her career. Do I get backstage passes? No.
Do you ask for them?
I don't even think I can get to her anymore. I don't know. My kids are always asking me, Dad, come on, you know Katy Perry. I think I knew Katy Perry. I knew Katie Hudson. So we're talking about being current, and staying on top of the leading edge. I would say that I would be definitely included in this club of being stuck in the music that I grew up loving, the stuff that I fell in love with when I was, 15 to 25, and that if I were a songwriter today, that's what I would tend to write. And we see that with a lot of our older members. They've got the craft. They actually know song form, mm-hmm. and they're pretty darn good at making their lyrics compact and not being overly, laborious and trying to get a thought out. But it's a combination of maybe the intervals in the melodies, the chord progressions, although a lot of chord progressions are still the same, but the stuff sounds dated.
Mm-hmm.
How do you recommend that the folks watching the show today avoid that syndrome of being dated?
Okay, so there are two things. Now, you cannot write pop music in 2013 as if rap never existed. Your wording and phrasing has to be rhythmic.
Right.
Rock and roll was influenced from blues. Boo, boo, boo. 30 years later, the main influence is hip-hop.
Okay.
It's not rock. And rock influenced hip-hop itself, but it's the phrasing. Sometimes things are just too singy, and you're like, no, you need to, there's a delivery that comes from that. And to answer more directly to your question, and I hope you don't hate the answer, team up with a kid.
Right. Hey, I've got a kid.
Team up with a kid. Team up with a kid. It comes naturally to them. They don't have the craft.
And they don't have that history to influence them in a negative way. to keep them stuck.
Exactly. Team
It's a
up with a
great
kid.
idea.
Feed your ideas and concept to a kid, because kids have a lot of la la la. They feel a lot of things for the first time, so they're always a good source of material, because they look at,
It's all fresh to them.
it's all fresh. Everything's for the first time to them. So
Yeah.
the way they express it is sometimes very naive, but it has that freshness. So lend your craft to those kids and let them do their phrasing and let them put the coolness, and you craft the song.
I gotta say, you're pretty brilliant.
It's
Seriously, these are, we've done 1,000,000 of these shows, well, maybe 100 of these shows, and all the people I've had on panels at the Red Railing stuff, this is all great information.
yeah, I can help.
Oh,
I
man.
wish I could give information of, do this, do that, and so to have people be self-sufficient. But the other thing about self-sufficient today, go and look at songwriter credits. There are almost no song that is one or two writers.
Mhm.
They're especially pop song. There are like 10 of them, and guess what? They all 10 contributed to something.
It's amazing when I go like to ASCAP or BMI Awards and they call everybody up when they win for Song of the Year, and it's literally like a processional of
But-
8, 9, 10 guys.
Listen to the amount
girls.
listen to
Women.
the amount of hooks that one pop song has.
Yeah.
It's too much for one person to come up with all those hooks. You've got a track that come up with one hook, and then they give the thing to somebody else, and somebody else adds their own hook, and it basically ends up being a patchwork. They
Wow.
don't really actually usually sit and write the whole song from top to bottom alone. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they're like, oh, I really like that chorus. Oh, let's give this to such and such, and to come up with something else. And so the song travels, goes from hand to hand, and then when you have the final thing, it's bulletproof. It has the lyrics, it has the hook, it has the post hook, it has the bridge hook, it has the outro, it has everything.
I've got to say again, bringing up my daughter Hannah, she's actually been on the show twice and did a really good job. And the other night she played played 2 lines for my wife and I said, Hannah, that's a great hook. And she said, no, actually it's a verse. She said, looked at me and she said, Dad, every aspect of the song has to have a hook now. And she said, this hook is good enough to be a verse hook, but it's not good enough to be a chorus hook.
There you go.
I thought it was. But she's pushing the envelope farther, and just echoing what you just said.
You
Everything's
have
got
to.
to have a hook.
I mean, people don't really listen to albums anymore. We
Right.
all listen to singles, and I'm guilty of that too. We listen to singles, and everything needs to be better and better and better. Not better in quality and substance. It just needs to be more surprising. And it needs to be, as you say, your verse needs to be a hook.
Yeah.
You need to keep people's attention, and then you'll have a phenomenal lyric that will trump everything. Like Rihanna's song, Stay with Mickey Echo.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even have a drum in it.
Right.
It has a spectacular lyric.
Yeah.
It's a great lyric, will trump it, will defy gravity. It will trump everything.
You know who Mickey Echo is, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. The people who for 2 years sat in the office on the other side of the wall, Marianne Good and Mike Mayer.
Oh, I know Mike. I know Mickey through Mike. I didn't
Yeah.
know they were here.
Yeah, literally up until a month ago, they were right on the other side of that wall. I gave them an empty office we had, and they're close friends. And one day, Mickey Echo was up here before that song came out, before he was famous, and I remember hearing his stuff through the wall, going, "Man, this guy's
Yes.
brilliant." And then when I heard that song with him featured on the Rihanna song, it's like, wow. He's one of those special guys. Every now and then you find one. And
Yes.
he is one. In our listings that we put out to our members, you've obviously seen the listings, and our members always ask, do the screeners know anything we don't know? And I always tell them, no, the screeners see the same listing that you do. They may have more insight into the reference artist because they spend more time paying attention to that stuff. But compare our listings to like a publisher's tip sheet that goes out to all the writers.
Your listing is so detailed. It's a fantastic listing.
All right, that's what I was looking for.
It's a fantastic listing. I've had this thing, Christina Aguilera looking for hits.
Right. And that's what the industry guys will give us. So we have to call them up and dig deeper. What kind of hits? Can you reference anything else that she might like that's out there now? Do you want stuff like on her last album? If so, which cuts on the last album is she tending to favor now? So our members look at all these details in the listing and say, you guys pigeonhole us so much. You're so strict in what you ask for. We're just trying to give them every possible advantage.
It's true. And sometimes it's good to take those listings, and those listings are very helpful. It gives you more than it takes away. But it doesn't pigeonhole, because it gives you a general idea, and then you want to say, would such and such sing this? And if your song is a little bit of a step ahead, it's okay to send it. But if your song doesn't fulfill all the references, it depends what kind of a pitch it is.
Yeah,
if it's for a film and TV, you really want to pay attention to all the other stuff outside of the references. The references are good, but when it says universal lyric, very important. When they give you topics, very important to stick to them, because you can send a great song that would be a huge hit with Coldplay singing, but it doesn't work for the scene.
Yeah.
No, the listing is
good. I'm glad to hear that you feel that way, because we care about our members. We get frustrated on their behalf when they're frustrated, and a lot of them feel that we're asking too much of them and giving them too much direction.
Oh, trust me, you're not asking hardly as much as the industry's asking.
But they give no information.
And they give no information. Hey, surprise me. Get me something great. Right. I'll know it when I hear it. I've heard that so many times.
Yes, countless times.
And then you kind of, we're in the business, so we establish relationships, and it's like, what do you like? And then you start getting a whole map of their ears so you can pitch to them.
Right.
They don't give us all that information.
And that brings up an interesting point too, because sometimes you could be screening, if Susan brings in a listing from one of her industry friends, she's got that map of what they like. We may not be able to put that all into words, but it also gives her the latitude that when she hears something that may not be exactly what they asked for, but she still knows it'll fit in their...
And they'll like it.
Yeah.
I'll forward.
Right. I think I've asked you most of the questions. I have asked you most of the questions. How are we doing on time? We're at the halfway point. All right, I'm going to take 2 questions from you guys, then we're going to listen to some music, and then we'll wrap up with a couple of questions at the end. So, any questions from you guys? I want her to screen my stuff. I know. If I were a songwriter, I would want her to screen my stuff. And you know what? She probably is screening your stuff. I missed. Who is this, please? Her name is Suzan Koc. Suzan Koc? Do you pronounce it? You go. I know.
They're the same.
I'm Laskow and Laskow. I was actually on a plane coming back from Paris, and I met a woman, a flight attendant, came up and said, "Your name is Laskow. My name is Laskow. Lasceau." The French spelling. I just had to return because they said it was too close to the references. Okay, that can be dangerous. You know what? Sound-alikes are dangerous in the industry. Yes, we want you to sound like something that is... If we give you 3 references, what other songs would be on the same playlist as those references? If you sound too much like somebody, you could get busted for ripping them off. So it may have been a case of that. Is there such a thing as writing for a non-mass pop audience?
That's
a tough one, huh?
The non-mass pop audience isn't looking for outside songs.
I think...
I put country in the mass pop audience.
Right.
It's just, but the independent artists write their own songs.
Right. And pop, by the very definition of the word, pop is a contraction of popular.
Popular, yes.
Which means everybody, mass.
So it's really about who you're writing for and where you're going to put your song. We're talking about pop because that is the outlet, and country is the outlet too, which is pop in Nashville.
Right. Yeah, it is funny how Nashville is so averse to whenever somebody new comes along that is very pop driven. It's like, oh, radio will never touch that. And then they put out one single and it's a giant hit. Then everybody in Nashville rushes to write stuff that sounds
That's
very
true
pop
for
driven.
pop. That's true for everything. It's we've got those rules, and it's really we go by rules, and then somebody breaks the rule. And people are like, oh, he broke the rule, and it becomes a huge hit. And they're like, okay, guys, we've got a new rule.
Well, people make that complaint about Taxi and our screeners, and our whole concept of Taxi is, hey, I'm breaking the rules. You guys should be able to recognize, right? Let me see some plus ones if I get agreement on this. That we get complaints that you guys don't want us to break rules. You give us all these details in the listings, and then we break the rules, and you say, sorry, you're not close enough. But statistically, that rule-breaking band like the Beatles or Pink Floyd or somebody that comes along, those are so few and far between.
Yeah, but all those artists are self-contained.
Right. Well, sometimes we have
It's-
listings for artists that are self-contained, but
Breaking the rule it's funny because actually it was I think my first or second day here.
Yeah.
I got a song from an English artist. I can't remember his name, and I complimented him for breaking the rules.
Yeah.
Everything he did went against the grain, and yet he made it work.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? I compliment you. You broke the rules in a very in a way where I was moved.
And
Breaking the rule is good, but you can't just break the rule to break the rule. You need to if you're breaking the rule, you've got to make sure that your listener is hooked and is following you wherever you take your listener. If that hook is not solid enough and you lose your listener, then you broke the rules for no reason.
And the screeners will forward stuff that breaks the rules if they think the person on the receiving end is going to go, wow, they're going to think this is as brilliant as I do. It's not that we never forward stuff that doesn't break rules. It's just a lot of the people who break rules really haven't honed their craft to the point where they're good enough to break the rules, if that makes sense. It's like
Absolutely.
You can't, sit down and just pick up a bass and go blah, 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 and
No,
say, wow,
you
I'm a
need
great
to
jazz
know.
bass
You need
player.
to know the rules perfectly to break the rules.
Right.
So it's like know the rules to break the rules.
Yeah, Picasso, great example.
Absolutely.
He started out doing legit paintings, and then moved on to doing stuff that completely and utterly broke the rules.
So I want to answer to that. If an ad is asking for female vocals, is it okay to send a demo with male vocals? No. If it's for film and TV, no. If it's for pop, usually I want to say no, because even if I think it's really good and I forward it, 99% the A&R is not going to play that song to the artist because of the vocal thing.
They want the artist to be able to sing along with it. So if it's a female vocal, especially in their key, which we can't tell you what key to do it in, but if it's singable in their key and they, the A&R person is playing it for the artist and they start singing along, it gets embedded and they walk away from the meeting going, I think I want to cut
And
that.
it's also, we actually critique and analyze songs way more than the A&Rs we send them to.
Oh, yeah.
The A&Rs listen, it's like, oh, it's the guy singing, boom, it's gone. You want to put all the chances on your side, so the person that we forward to is gonna make it at least to the chorus. We listen to the whole song. We sit down, we critique. We listen to the 3.5, 4 minutes. They don't. If it's
They won't make
it's
it
male
past the
vocal,
intro.
boom.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make past the intro, and it's a shame.
I would imagine Diane Warren can get away with that because
Diane Warren has like the best demos ever. She hires kids. I meet kids who are like DJs. Like, hey, I'm doing demos for Diane Warren. I'm so impressed with that woman. She's
incredible.
in touch with kids and DJs and all that. She wants to have those sonics.
Yeah.
And she could probably go in an A&R's office and just play a song on the piano and they'll still welcome her. But she's like, why take a chance? A lot of the A&Rs are kids. They still make great records. They have ears for sonics more than they do for songs. I'm going to do it. And she does.
She's super competitive and stays on top of her game like nobody I've ever met. All right, one more question and then we'll listen to some music. What kind of experience do you have with, I gotta scoot this over, with orchestral music for film and TV?
I have none, and I do not screen those.
Right.
I'm
And look, his screen name up here is Musical Theory 1. Okay, let's listen to some music. Miss Koch has never heard this stuff before. Aaron picked it. I have not heard anything except the first 10 seconds of the first song because I want to make sure the CD player is working, which I'm going to test right now. And so just give them, whatever comes to the top of your head. I gave you a pen and a water, by the way, if you need some water.
Thank you.
And tell them what you want to tell them.
She don't mind if no one sees her. From February straight on through to June. Well, she can lie, but I'd still believe her. Yeah, yeah. Well, she can dance to any tune. Breaking out from all religion. And then her eyes look straight through you. Yes, they do. And that's when she makes a decision. She ain't taking no time for shame. She won't give you no room to sway. She can see through the games you play. And I wouldn't have her any other way. No, no way. Watch her dance across the sun. She transcends reality. She's calling out to other souls, and yes, I know. She always finds the best in me, and I believe she don't listen to doubts or fears. She will only shed meaningful tears. She she's here. Love is the reason she's here. Ooh, you know love is why she's here. Yeah. 'Cause I love her. 'Cause I
Fade. And applause. Okay, that was called Any Other Way. We don't give out the artist names in case they want to be anonymous. What do you think?
I think he has very evocative lyrics, which I really like, and they work very well for film and TV. There's he really describes a very nice picture. Watch her walk across the moon, which is she don't mind if no one sees her. February straight through to June, she may lie, but I still love her. I still believe her. Is very evocative. It really triggers emotions. We don't really know what it means, but it's very emotional, and that works really well for film and TV.
Almost poetic.
Almost poetic. I first want to talk about the lyric, and then I'll talk about the rest.
Whatever you want to
She
do.
can, and then it was all good. The only thing I missed in this song is musically and lyrically a real bridge, because he's describing her, and then the tagline comes that I wouldn't have her any other way. I wouldn't have her any other way, which is really nice. But on the bridge, I need to hear more of how he feels.
Right, that emotion.
That's
How
emotion,
does she
because
make him feel? Yeah.
I don't mind watching somebody through somebody else's eyes, but at one point I need to feel what that connection is, so I can be pulled in more.
Great.
So that's missing. Melodically, there's a lot missing. He got this great little verse, a great little what I thought was a pre-chorus that turned out to be a chorus.
Right.
Doubling the verse in the first was not a good thing.
I
It
could
got
feel
too long.
I literally could feel you going.
It got too long.
Yeah.
One, and then the pre-chorus or chorus would have been nice, and that would have been nice to go somewhere else melodically, even because it stayed with the same three chords. It didn't go anywhere, and he's got a beautiful voice, probably not very rangy, but which is fine. Just a little key change or something would have been a nice change of pace.
He was texturally identifiable. Like if you heard him again, you'd go, "Oh, that's that guy,"
absolutely,
which
yes.
is a big plus. But you're right. I was watching the comments on there. It's funny. You guys be nice, by the way. Don't anybody be cruel. That's not the spirit of what we do here. But I saw people pointing out stuff like the tambourine was off for a second. And I thought, man, if a Taxi screener said that just as a helpful hint, oh, by the way, your tambourine was off, then people go online and say, I can't believe those jerks at Taxi didn't forward my song because the tambourine was off. Now, if it were a hit song and the tambourine were off, it would still get forwarded, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's, I forwarded things that weren't perfect, but they were looking for an artist. They were looking for artists.
Yeah.
And one of the song, I had like a full page of things, and at the end I said, I'm still forwarding this.
Wow.
This is what you should do to better the song. Because his voice was just so compelling on the song.
Very cool.
And they were looking for an artist, so the song mattered but didn't matter, and the first and the third song were good enough for this to blend it, and this
Right.
and it had a beautiful melody, but I did put the page. I was like, I'm still forwarding this.
Nice. See, it does happen. We're not as strict as you think. All right. Jerks.
But we need to be
jerks at Taxi.
jerks
Thank
at
you.
Taxi. But we need to be strict, because otherwise we're not going to get the good listings if we aren't strict with what we send them. It's a very it's not a rock and a hard place, but we need to pitch to those A&Rs the same way publishers pitch.
Right.
It has to be professional quality, and all the critique is to help your next song to be better, and the next to be better, until you send the songs, we're like, wow, this is perfect. We're sending it because when we send it, we truly believe it is competitive with what's out there. So it also gives you a good idea of your level within the industry.
That's true. You know, we don't talk about that enough, and you guys may not think about it enough, that everything we forward has to be competitive with the best that's out there, or we can't forward it. Otherwise, they'll never run another listing. So if you are getting forwards, treat that as a huge compliment.
It's the thing you need to understand is once you start pitching, you're immediately competing against Dr. Luke, Evan Bogart, Lindy Robbins. You're competing against everybody who is in the top songwriters here. There's no junior league for songwriters. So if you're pitching, that's who you're competing against. So if your song gets forwarded to a pitch, it's a great news. It means that you're really in the ballpark. So just keep at it, and hopefully you'll meet people, and
I'm glad
things
you
will
mentioned
snowball.
Lindy Robin. You know, she was a taxi member in the first couple of years we were open in the early 1990s. And she didn't get forwarded very often, but I remember calling her up and saying, you are going to be something. I mean, you're so close. You're just not right there yet, but you've got so much going for you. And she stuck with it, and look at her now. Big hit songwriter.
It's a big hit songwriter. I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I should get her to come to the Road Rally. She'd be a great person. You know, every year I forget to ask her, and she would be awesome for that. Okay, let's listen to the next song, which is called I Don't Belong.
Sometimes I wish I was famous and everyone knew me by name. People would stop me on the sidewalk, take pictures and shake my hand. Then I would know I was someone. Then I'd have all that I want. Is that what my life is missing? And will it help me belong? 'Cause I don't belong. I don't belong. No, I don't belong. Sometimes I wish I had money, houses and TVs and cars. Not worried if I could afford this. Living would not be so hard. Then I could travel anywhere. Then I could go where I want. Is that what my life is missing? And will it help me belong? 'Cause I don't belong. I don't belong. No, I don't belong. Maybe I've been thinking wrong, and this is not my real home. Soon there will be better days. I am meant for another place, somewhere that I'll never worry, somewhere I'll finally belong. Sometimes I find peace inside me, despite all my problems and faults. I'm okay with not being perfect and not getting all that I want. Someday when this is all over and wishes and guesses are gone, I'll find what life has been missing, don't belong.
And you say?
I say beautiful voice.
Mm.
Beautiful voice, beautiful atmosphere. I like that guitar. I like the hypnotic monotony of it.
Uh-huh.
Although there are a few things I would have shaped. I want to start with melodies because I have a lot to say on
Go for
the
it.
lyrics. Melodically, it was nice, although on the third line of each verse, it would have been nice to bring a different either phrasing or melodic lift. It got
Too predictable?
a little too monotonous. It got a
Okay.
little boring. I mean, not in a just you kind of you wanted something else and it stayed at the same na 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 na. You kind of want to take it na 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 na.
Yeah, just go for the octave at least, yeah.
Exactly, give it some shape. So it's once again, your job is to keep the listener engaged. Lyrically, this actually is the perfect example of what you asked me. We've got a laundry list of sometimes I wish I was famous, that everybody would know my name, people would stop me in the streets and take pictures. That where at the end of verse 1, we do not know how he feels. You can't do that.
Okay.
You can't do that.
We were reading your mind before the show, and Aaron picked a perfect song for you to exemplify that point.
Then I would know I was someone. That's almost a better way. It's then I'd have all that I want. Is this what my life's missing for? Would help me belong. We're like, okay, we're getting to somewhere, and then because I don't belong, very poignant,
Mhm.
but it's not set up. Why doesn't he know? I don't know why he doesn't belong.
You could use it for a film and TV thing if you had the verse playing way low underneath and the lyrics were inaudible and just felt the tempo of the song, and then brought up the I don't belong part, for a chorus for a second to show somebody who's dejected and walking away. But that's about the only use I could think of.
I would personally encourage him to rewrite those verses.
Oh, I would
because
agree. I'm just
he's
saying
got
the
a
only use
beautiful
I could think of is that.
He's got a beautiful
Yeah.
voice, and especially a voice and style like him.
Yeah.
People listen.
Yeah.
So when you listen, you need to feed the listener.
He's right in that indie voice market.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I don't belong. I want to have more emotional things. I want to hear the problem and not have the hypothetical solutions.
Mhm. Right.
And then the one if this is like, oh, so if I'm famous, no, if I had money, and all these things are doesn't really depict him as a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
It makes him like a jerk. It's like, oh, if I were famous, people would like me better. No.
Right. Sounds whiny.
It's I don't belong, but I feel like he's not looking at what it is that makes him not belong, or confide in how he feels of not belonging.
Mm-hmm.
He's just bringing obvious solutions, like, oh, if I were famous, I'd belong. If I were rich, I'd belong. That's not
If I were rich and famous, I wouldn't give a damn if I belonged.
exactly.
Screw you guys. I saw somebody wrote, this would be good ad song, and I wrote, no, on my
I don't
notes.
belong is a terrible ad
Yeah, because
song.
they always want
you want
positive.
to belong.
Yeah. the only product this would work for would be Abilify or some sort of antidepressant. Somebody's standing on a bridge ready to jump. I don't belong. Anyway, back to you.
Even then, it makes people want to jump.
I know.
And then the bridge, I liked how it could. Maybe I've been thinking wrong. I got excited. But then once again, he didn't give me the emotional. He's not anchoring what he's saying with emotions.
Mhm.
And that's
you're
what
right
a
on
song
target.
is. A song is 3 minutes of emotions.
I once asked Barry Gibb from the Bee Gees In my naive first, 30 days in the industry, I was asked everybody who was bigger and, and more important than I was, which was everybody, what makes a hit song? And Barry Gibbs answered, he looked at me like, you don't know? And he said, emotion.
Uh-huh.
It's all about emotion.
Uh-huh.
Profound. Cool. All right, let's do another one. This song is called Tropical Hideaway.
Baby, let's sail away to a far-off tropical hideaway where gentle trade winds softly blow and coconut palm trees bend and sway. Come with me, I promise you a real good time. I'll wipe away big city thinking from your mind. Sunsets in the sand, walking barefoot hand in hand. Trade away the rat race for a gorgeous wonderland. Come with me to the sea. We will be set free. City lights for sun-drenched days and moonlit nights, where everything that we partake will satisfy our appetites. Sail with me into a land that's paradise. Let your spirit be renewed. Take my advice and dare to move ahead. Shoes to lose and clothes to shed, with the only fashion statements hanging by a thread. Come with me to the sea. We will be set free.
Got enough? Nope. That's the end. It's definitely enough. I got to tell you guys, we ran a listing, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, looking for Girl from Ipanema type of song for a Bruce Willis movie. I think it was Good Day to Die Hard, where Bruce Willis and his son get into an elevator. They've been in like a gun battle and they get in an elevator, and it's just, they wanted the juxtaposition of gun battle to elevator music.
This is perfect.
This was absolutely perfect. Where was this song on that day? Who knows? Maybe you submitted it, maybe we forwarded it, but could not have been more perfect. In the end, they ended up going with Girl from Ipanema, which they said they couldn't afford to license.
They always find money.
Yes, isn't that funny? Yeah, because I'm sure the director wanted it, and damn it, we're going to find the money. Anyway, what'd you think?
I'm totally out of my comfort zone.
Okay.
So
Which happens, we should mention that the screeners...
Oh, I returned a whole box today.
Where the screeners, people submit stuff for, like, let's say listing was looking for indie singer-songwriter, and this was sent in. Well, I'm independent, and I'm a singer-songwriter, so this is what I'm sending. But it wasn't in the style, and then you're an expert at indie singer-songwriter, and you have to comment on something that's, light jazz, if you will.
I will actually not comment on it.
So what do you do?
I pass.
Yeah.
And I
And
I
leave it
go
to-
and if it's the last song that's on my listing, I'll go and see somebody and say, I'm not gonna do it justice because it's not my comfort zone.
Right. Smart.
I did that today. I'm not very good with AC,
Yeah.
and I went to see Aaron. I was like, I'm not the right person for this because they're not gonna get the right feedback.
Great. See, our screeners actually care.
It's you have to.
Yeah.
So this is not my comfort zone. I love the arrangements. I love the tropical thing. I thought that lyrically, it lacks a little heart.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it were a little more, it's a tropical hideaway, let me take you there. There's a little too much description of the hideaway. I would have liked it to be balanced by more description of the feeling, of the uniqueness of this person, of, once again, the emotion. It's a lot of backdrop, not enough heart.
Yeah, we keep going back to emotion, but you're absolutely right every time you point it out.
But it's like, I mean, the song is just imagine it's Frankenstein, but it needs a heart. It needs a heart. You can put all the pieces together. If you can't if it's not alive, if it doesn't have a heart, it's serves no purpose. It's pure craft.
I wish I had you on a panel at the Road Rally right now so I
It's-
could quote that, because we always transcribe the panels and put them out in the newsletters. That's a great way to say it. All right, moving on. The next song is called Down. Whoops, I was already on the next song. Here we go. See, we do pick them at random.
Sometimes we make promises we can't keep to someone else. When did love begin to mean nothing? 'Cause I can't tell.
rhythm track, awesomely tight.
It's great production. I love her voice. It's funny because as I'm reading this and listening, I was like, one thing we forget sometimes, or not to forget, is
Yeah.
nobody reads lyrics.
Right.
We all hear lyrics.
Yeah.
And usually we hear sound bites.
Mhm.
We don't always hear everything as it was said. We like a hook, and then we'll go and read.
We in the industry. Everybody,
the
'cause
listener.
I know that my 12-year-old, my 16-year-old know the word to every song on the planet.
You first hear it, you like the hook, then you hear it again, and then you go to blah 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 lyrics on Google and you read the lyrics and you learn them.
Right.
But the first time you hear something, you don't actually.
Something has to grab you.
Something has to grab you. And having a title like I'm Going Down is a very risky title.
Mm-hmm. People were commenting.
It's as a risky. I mean, I actually haven't been reading the comments. I've been like reading things, and that's the first. I was like, ooh, it's a hard one to, unless you use a double entendre.
Right.
And just own it and go all the way, and then it makes a very clever song.
Right. If Katy Perry used the phrase, it would be brilliant and clever.
Billy Steinberg would make a great lyric out of this.
We had him on a panel at the rally. He's funny.
It's so the title and the hook is a very risky one. The rest of the lyrics are what I call soundbite lyrics. Every line sounds good by itself, and they don't really make any sense together. Sometimes we make promises we can't keep to someone else is unnecessary, it was too busy, and it's actually more powerful to say sometimes we make promises we can't keep. I got excited. I was like, wow, okay. And then, when did love begin to mean nothing? I was like, okay, where did that come from?
Right, it's no it doesn't fit in the context.
Just when I thought I figured it out, here I go again. Individually, they're all great lines that makes no sense together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm Going Down comes, which is not set up. We don't know why she's going down.
Right.
I don't know
which going down she's talking about.
And how far can I start to fall when pain is all you know? Beautiful line, but I don't know what it's referring to. Put all I had into my dreams. Didn't think I could fail. I tried so hard to keep them alive. I'm starting to derail. What does that have to do with anything, with the promise you broke, with the love that doesn't make a thing? It's, as I say, it's,
It's another example of what's making her feel like she's failing and going down, but there's no connection to verse one. There's no connection to a story.
There's a lack of coherence.
Yeah.
And your lyrics need to read well, and there needs to be coherent.
This is how, just so you guys know, when you go into a meeting with an A&R person, they wouldn't do this. They would just know that it doesn't work.
I'm interested. Doesn't work.
But if you go into a meeting with a professional publisher, somebody who's worked at the levels you have, this is what the publisher is going to give back to the writer.
It's if they do have the time.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes they're like, yeah, no, you're not there yet.
Right.
It's not. Taxi is one of the rare places where you actually have an articulate and detailed feedback. Because most people, first of all, hate to say when they don't like something.
Right.
I mean, we have
Is it
friends.
3:00? I got to go to a meeting now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
Not for me. That's all we get, and we were like, oh, okay. It's like we can't. Doesn't like it.
It's like the easy button at Staples. They should have an "I'm not feeling it" button for A&R people and publishers. Except when you press it, you explode.
That would be funny. So these are my comments.
Okay. All right. Let's listen to one more. Let's listen to a song called "Together."
Together.
I wanna be together with you in love's sweet arms. that keep us tethered to empty things that just steal the hands of time from us, when all we really want, when all we really need is to be together. Words are like a poor man's pockets, empty and begging for more. But me, I don't feel poor, 'cause I know I got a king's ransom buried inside every moment we share. I'm gonna spend every dime and I don't care. It's all we really want. Ooh. It's all we really need is to be together. The upside of my days are by your side. There ain't no other time when I feel so fine. It's all we really want. It's all we really need. It's all we really want. It's all we really need is to be together. Is to be together.
I love it. And you know what I learned at Taxi?
What?
Is to critique a song I love.
Instead of just saying, wow, that's great. Have a
That's
nice day.
exactly. I was like, I loved it. And that's what usually you
What
love it, you
makes-
forward
yeah.
it and all that. And when I started here, they're like, we can't just say you love it. You need to tell them why. And
Wow.
I'm like, really? I have to. And so it taught me to look at things differently. I love the song. I love the innocence. I love how the melody. I love how the fourth line took like a half a beat to get in to start. I loved how the melody evolved. I loved what he's saying, the simplicity. If there's only one thing, if the title is Together, I would repeat Together more than I repeat all we really want, all we really need.
Mhm.
That repeated more, that sounded more like the hook than Together.
So should he change it's actually correct. I'm giving this one up because I know these guys and they won't mind. This is Casey Hurwitz and Paul Otten, and this is a great example of them meeting at Taxi, getting to know each other on the forum and collaborating. They don't live anywhere near each other. One of them's in Pennsylvania, the other one's in Ohio, and they became friends through Taxi, and there you go. So should they change the title to All We Really Want, because it shows up more in the chorus?
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you not as a critique person, but as a publisher.
Okay.
All We Really Want or Together are not interesting titles.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. If I saw in my not critiquing world and
Right.
I got a song called Together, I'm not immediately gonna push play.
Okay.
I got so many songs called Together. Then I've been going through the things. King's Ransom. It's just one line there. Just one thing. I got a King's Ransom. It's like words are a poor man's pocket. I got a King's Ransom. King's Ransom would be an interesting title.
Mm-hmm.
That would make me listen, and there's something there. there's always the argument the hook's always better titled, but
For radio and records, that's the classic
Yes.
argument. Yeah.
this song also, may I say, is a perfect film and TV song. It's there's
Absolutely.
nothing more. This is like under songs for film and TV. There's this song.
Yeah.
It's perfect. What we really want. We want to be together. It's great for commercials. It's great for TV. It's emotional. It says a lot of images. It's simple.
It stays on one theme. It's universal. It's the
Exactly.
laundry list of perfection for film and
Exactly.
TV.
Exactly.
I was trying to contain myself because I know both of these guys really well, and I didn't know this was going to be on the show today, and I adore them both, and I applaud their efforts for, I've watched them both grow, and this is such a great joint effort. Nice going, you guys. Are you guys on the in the chat room today, or are you just watching and not logged into the chat room?
Want to pitch to listing asking for songs about being together. Oh. Casey wanted to pitch. You're titling the songs to the pitches? That's actually might be an interesting way to pitch songs.
Yeah, well, for film and TV, we find that works well. That when supervisors are scanning a list and they're looking for songs about being together, and they see one with "together" in the title.
That's actually clever.
Yeah.
Okay, I take it
Yeah,
back.
yeah, we teach that.
I take it back.
For film and TV, but you were also addressing the radio and record side.
It's funny because writing for film and TV, writing for pop, two different animals,
Yep.
and
This could go either way,
this could go either way. Yeah.
which is rare.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Great song, you guys. Are you on here? I don't see P.O. or Casey. No. Where are you dudes? I know they're watching. Paul watches almost all the shows. I think Casey does. Not everybody who's on the list, and we could have hundreds of other people that don't log into the chat, just so you know. Oh, well. Great job, you guys. Really, really great way to end the show. Let's just do two quick more. 5:19. We're a little over, but what the hell? When do I ever end one on time? But Susan, you've been...
Well, if people are watching.
Yeah, you've been so awesome, man. I wish I could do a show a week with you. Okay, quick questions, you guys. A couple more. Question: is getting a mixed sound similarity just as important as melodical and lyric content? So he's talking about, or she, whoever it is, referencing, when we give out 3 references, we're not saying sound exactly like the references. We're saying, would it be played on the same playlist? Would it be on the same radio station? Do you feel that if they've nailed the topic or general range of topics lyrically, if they've nailed the instrumentation and general musical vibe of the song, that getting the mix in that same ballpark is important to make it appealing as well, or does it not matter as much?
Depends how bad your mix is. I mean, you need to hear the words without a lyric sheet. So your mix, you need to have a good rough mix. I mean, the answer is yes. Your mix has to be, your mix has to put the song on a pedestal, because we're not the ones you should fear.
Right.
We're actually on your side.
I tell them that all the
We're
time.
on your side. We are trying to, we want to find things that work, but we also have to work with the reality that if we are not sending them competitive things, we're going to stop getting the listings.
Yeah.
And that defeats the purpose. That really defeats the purpose of Taxi. We want to be a credible source of talent within the industry, and we are.
Yeah.
We're getting those great listings, and so yes, your mix has to be competitive, because you're competing against Dr. Luke, and when they listen to your song and Dr. Luke's, if his sound better and shines better, they'll go with his.
Okay, let me phrase the question in another form. Not that I'm saying your answer, that I think your answer is correct.
Will we still forward it?
Let's say that you have a song, and you don't know that it's Dr. Luke, but some pro-industry person that has a B+ song with an A+ mix versus somebody else who has an A+ song, but the cymbals are too bright. Which song would win?
They might both lose, but that's an interesting question. It depends on the A&R.
Good answer.
It depends on the A&R. Some A&Rs are more beat driven, and they're like, we can always have a lyric rewrite.
Mm-hmm.
And some A&Rs are lyric written, saying this is a great lyric. I'll get somebody else to produce it, but that is rare. Mainly because good producers don't want to produce other people's songs.
Right.
And when they do, they'll ask for a piece of your song.
Right, yeah, they'll
And you're
collaborate.
going to give it to them with a big smile on your face. You can't go, oh, the song was written. The song was written, it's not produced well, it will sit in a shelf.
Sometimes the screeners, we actually discourage them making comments about engineering or mix stuff unless it's hurting the song. If the vocal's too low in the mix, they should tell you. I wouldn't want a screener to say, I would have used a less strident acoustic guitar sound on this, because when that happens, it takes the focus off of the songcraft, which is what we're mostly going for here at Taxi. And sometimes when we add, the screeners will add it as an also.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't forward this song because the lyric wasn't good enough. Oh, and by the way, the acoustic guitar, being a gut string, didn't work. I would have used a steel string with a brighter, janglier sound. And then they go online and say, I can't believe this screener didn't forward my song because the guitar sound wasn't jangly enough. No, you missed the point.
You missed the point,
Yeah.
but in pop, if your drum beats aren't good, you can't forward it. The song
Right.
can be great. I still can't forward it.
Right, but that's a beat thing is a production thing versus an engineering thing.
True.
I'm talking
Fair enough,
about,
fair enough.
like, are the cymbals too hot in the mix? Is the guitar too bright?
No, the only thing to go back, in the mix, if the vocal's too low, hard to forward, and if there's something that really is distracting,
Right.
otherwise...
Too much cowbell. I saw that like 100 times today. Okay, one more question, and then we are so out of here. Best mic for a home studio. Go on the forum and ask that question. Can we request Susan for a custom critique? I would say give it another month. She's really just getting, she's really getting in the saddle here. As you can see, she's incredibly talented, just mind-blowingly good at what she does. But yeah, give it another month and then send in a custom and ask if you could have Susan critique your stuff. I would have Susan critique my stuff. A guy wrote it down earlier. Somebody said we look like brother and sister. I took that as a compliment.
Me too.
So thank you from Taxi headquarters at beautiful Calabasas, California. Susan, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Oh, you were amazing. And I'm so glad that I had you do the show just for our members. We do one on Monday that's for anybody that wants to watch. But I knew that you were going to be amazing, and I wanted to save you for these guys because these are the folks that put food on our table and that we work so hard for. So how about a bunch of plus ones or applauses or however you guys do it for Susan.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys on Monday for regular Taxi TV. Until then, thank you all.
Bye, guys.